Hey, dude. Welcome back to a special episode of the Lincoln Williams Show. My name is Lincoln Williams, and today we're going to be taking a look at my top TV shows of all time based on my personal favorites. These are not ranked in any sort of order, but these are the top 10 TV shows that I like, that I personally like, and that I've experienced through over the years and things like that. And most of you already know, are going to probably already know what my number one is, but let's get into the top 10 list. So these are the top 10 Lincoln Williams show, TV shows of all time, based on my personal favorites. Now, and this is going to be the 2023 edition of 2023 edition of the top 10 TV shows of all time, based on my personal favorites. So let's get on with the list. And starting off at number 10, we have 24. 24 was one of my favorite all time cop uh, dark dramas, basically. 24 was my favorite cop TV shows of all time, based on, you know, um, it takes place, 24 takes place in Los Angeles, and Jack Bauer is trying to stop the is trying to stop terrorists um, within 24 hours. It's one of the most it's one of the most darkest cop TV shows that I've ever watched in probably in my entire life. Basically, it deals with so many themes within this show, and it has so many action sequences that I basically love it. And who doesn't love a good action show like 24, basically? So I have Christian friends that watch this series, and so yeah, so 24, check it out if you haven't already. It's a very good TV show that deals with politics, the government, and action, and really just an overall good cop uh, TV show, and it's really really good. So I highly recommend 24 if you haven't watched it already. So yeah. So anyways, moving on to number nine, and at number nine we have NCIS. NCIS is one of the best, funniest. It's really NCIS is NCIS. It's funny, and it's a really good detective cop TV show. It's really good. It's a really good uh, comedy, uh, cop and detective TV show. It's they do multiple crime scene investigations with every episode. It's funny. It's one of my favorite TV shows to really figure out what really happened within the crime scene of every episode. It's really really good, but it ended on a bad note, I heard, and I sort of stopped watching the series after a little bit. But it is on Paramount Plus. It is on Paramount Plus, so you can watch it, and it's also one of my favorites. I also liked one of my I like the I like the characters and its overall pacing of the show. And sometimes it could get a kind of dark, but it kind of not. But it's overall a really good show, and I highly recommend it. So make sure you watch NCIS. It's a really really good show. So, and number And at number 8, we have NCIS Los Angeles. Uh, Number 8 is NCIS Los Angeles. NCIS. So as um, as a guy that grew up, well, was born in Los Angeles, basically, I love LA and I love the scenery that takes place there. And so NCIS Los Angeles is is another cop show. I know I'm listing cop shows, but I like cop shows. They're really they're really fun to watch, and you know this one is kind of funny too. But I like the action scenes and the chase sequences that takes place in this show, and I like the characters in this as well. So NCIS Los Angeles is a good show to watch on Paramount Plus as well, but you won't be able to watch season one. Instead, you'll get the later seasons, which is kind of disappointing. But anyways, NCIS Los Angeles is in the eighth spot basically. So it's it's still a pretty good show to watch. And I hope you guys watch this show um, like someday when you get enough time to get around to it. Um, so at number seven, at number seven, we have a fantasy. We have a fantasy slash comedy um, show. Well, actually, it's just a fantasy show, but yeah. So at number seven, we have Merlin. Merlin is is basically what the show is basically about. It's about Merlin trying to take care of King Arthur and trying to protect the world of like the Middle Ages. It takes place in the Middle Ages, and where fantasy and magic is basically forbidden. So he can't do any magic out in the open. He secretly has to do it. So yeah. Um, so he has to protect Merlin has to in Merlin has to protect King Arthur from the evil witch Morgana basically. So Morgana or Morgana, I don't know how to say it, but they pronounce it as Morgana in the series. So it's basically a very good show. I found it funny sometimes. It was funny. It was basically kind of silly at some points in the show. But anyways, Merlin is an excellent fantasy show, basically, based on my viewing experience. And so it's basically good. I like Merlin. It's a very good show, basically. So yeah, it's a little bit comedy and a little bit fantasy, and it has action sequences, and it's very very good. And me and my mom watched it all the time back in the day, and it was very very good. So, and at number 6 we have The Big Bang Theory. Number 6 is The Big Bang Theory. The Big Bang Theory is one of the best comedy series of all time. But, the one thing that I dislike about the show is, the kissing in bed scenes, basically. So I don't really like those that much. But The Big Bang Theory is very, very good. Um, so it has random episodes and they get really, really funny sometimes when the guys are always trying to pick up chicks on the show. And it's really it's like, "Oh my gosh, cute lady at 12 o'clock." It's like, "Oh my gosh." So, it's it gets really, really funny, and, you sort of wonder, will these guys ever get a girlfriend? Or, um, will Sheldon ever get a girlfriend, based on his autism? And, so so Sheldon is autistic. He's really, really smart in the series, and I can relate to him what he goes through in everyday life. And it's like, you know, and it's like it's so yeah, Sheldon is autistic as he explores his personality with some of his friends, some of his guy friends, his normal guy friends, and all that stuff. And he's relatable, kind of like to me because I'm an autistic person, and but you know, but anyway, anyways, so Big Bang Theory is number six. I really like it, except the kissing in bed scenes. Really don't like those, and uh, and some of the jokes that they pull in the show. But it's, I mean, it's good. I mean, the show is definitely good. It's definitely worth a watch, and it'll keep you hooked for quite a while, basically. So, anyways, yeah. So that's number six is the Big Bang Theory. Number five, my favorite kid show of all time is none other than Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is um so it's about four turtles that are trying to protect New York from the forces of evil, from all sources of evil, like the Shredder and the Krang and Bishop and all these other different kind of monsters throughout the show. And it's very, very, very good. The action scenes are on point. Right now I'm watching the Nickelodeon version of TMNT, which is very good because I'm trying to explore all sort of TV show uh aspects of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And I'm trying to watch all the different versions that are on there. But it's also one of my favorite TV shows of all time. Um, Basically, based on the storyline of Splinter taking care of the four turtles as they're training as ninjas to protect New York City, basically. So, and my wife loves the 2003 version of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And I sort of agree with her. I like, Shredder. I like Shredder in the 2003 version. He's really, really gruesome at times. And he sort of sounds like this. And he's like, "And we shall all perish together." And it's like, oh man, that version of the Shredder is so dark compared to the other ones. And yeah, the 2003 version, it's so good. The four kids TV version of TMNT is so good, but I'm currently watching the Nickelodeon version. The Nickelodeon version is a lot more dark. I think it's a lot more darker than some of the other versions. So yeah, so it's very, very good. But the 2003 version will always be close to my heart. Um, so Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the 2003 version, go watch it if you haven't. If you're into TMNT and stuff like that, but any TMNT is good to watch with your kid to watch with your kids and all that stuff. or your wife, basically, if she likes TMNT and stuff like that. So that's my favorite kids show of all time. So yep. So number four, number four, and at number four, what's my favorite? Mm, the so at number four, we have what's my favorite? Uh, let's see. At number four, we have um, what is my favorite superhero series? My favorite superhero series, like of all time, is has got to be my favorite superhero series. Starting at number four is Arrow. Basically, Arrow is one of my favorite uh, TV show series of all time. Basically, it tells the story of Oliver Queen and his drama on Lian Yu, the island, and it goes into the present day with so Arrow is basically the Green Arrow, basically, and it's realistic and it's one of my favorite series of all time. It's kind of reminds me of like Assassin's Creed a little bit. Kind of reminds me of Assassin's Creed a little bit. So Arrow is one of my all-time favorite shows. It's dark, it's actiony, it's really one of my favorite superhero shows where Oliver Queen figures out, okay, who's gonna destroy is gonna try to destroy um what was that one city called? I've watched so many shows. Uh oh, I forgot. But anyways, he's trying to protect uh the Starling. Wait, was it Starling City? Yeah, so it was Starling City, basically. So yeah, so he's trying to protect Starling City and all that stuff. So the show is very very good, and I highly recommend it for any superhero type fans. Um, so yeah, Arrow, Green Arrow, very good, very good show to watch. It's one of the best. Arrow is one of the all time one of the best TV shows that I've ever seen on Netflix. So yeah, so I highly recommend you watch Green Arrow. So I highly recommend that you watch Arrow. It's very very good. So and yeah, like the main character, he kind of looks like my brother Ian, basically. So um it's that's it's pretty shocking, basically. So yeah, so Arrow, give it a shot. So you're gonna like it. Um so at number three, and at number three we have uh, one of my favorite sci-fi shows is Eureka, basically. Eureka is a town where this sheriff pops in pops in for a visit, but he finds all sorts of problems within the town called Eureka. Eureka is one of the very best sci-fi shows that I've ever seen. Um, it's it has all sorts of all these problems within the town, and the sheriff is trying to solve all these, like, why is this problem happening over here? Why is this thing going haywire? Why is time, going haywire in this one town, and there's all these mysteries that are in the town and all that stuff. So Eureka is um one of my favorite series, and Fargo is almost Douglas Fargo is always one of my favorite characters because he kind of looks like my best friend and my best man from the wedding, from my wedding, Christopher Nickel. So Douglas Fargo, uh, he's he's one of my favorite characters um, in the series. And but the characters, they yeah. So uh, it it's basically a very good show for sci-fi enthusiasts, and so Eureka is one of the best. So I highly recommend Eureka. So yep. And at number two, we have The Mandalorian. The Mandalorian is by far Star Wars The Mandalorian. Um, Star Wars The Mandalorian, it's about a bounty hunter looking for profit in the galaxy. He's always looking for new jobs. But one of the main plots in the show is trying to protect uh, the baby Yoda, as we know now as Grogu, basically. So, and he's trying to protect the baby from Moff Gideon, from the Galactic Empire, and all that stuff. So he's trying to. Um, the Mandalorian is trying to protect. Um, yeah. So The Mandalorian is one of the best Star Wars TV shows that I've ever seen, basically. So, um, it's one of the very best. Obi-Wan Kenobi is in second place, but The Mandalorian is by far one of my favorite Star Wars TV shows on Disney Plus, and it's one of my all-time favorites. So The Mandalorian is by far one of the greatest Star Wars TV shows, my favorite Star Wars TV show of all time. So yep. So yep. So yeah, go check out The Mandalorian on Disney Plus if you haven't already. Otherwise, it's a very great show across the board. I also loved Book of Boba Fett. That was a very good series as well. Um, a good spin-off series of the Star Wars universe and all that stuff, like a side story of the Star Wars universe. So that was good. Book of Boba Fett was good. Um, and now we have some honorable mentions before I get to number one. My honorable mentions Drake and Josh. It's a good Nickelodeon comedy series. Um, iCarly is good as well. The new iCarly is good, but it's not as good as the original. I don't think because they cut out Sam and all that stuff. So um, iCarly is good as well. Um, Star Trek, uh, Star Trek Discovery is a good one as well. So I highly recommend Star Trek Discovery if you're a Star Trek fan, and Star Trek Strange New Worlds. That one is a good one as well. Um, so yeah, I'm into sci-fi. Can't you tell? I'm a huge sci-fi fan. Um, So yeah. So and number one, yeah. And number one, as many of you may know, this is one of my favorite sci-fi series of all time. And I'm so excited for for the specials that are coming up in November. And at number one, we have Doctor Who. Number one is Doctor Who, as many of you may know. It's about an alien, a Time Lord, who is willing to save the galaxy from monsters and travel to different planets and different time zones in his time machine slash spaceship called the TARDIS, basically. So Doctor Who is about a man or a woman called the Doctor, and she or he is an alien from the planet called Gallifrey, and this show has one of the best storylines going going for in Great Britain. It's one of the best TV shows created by the BBC, and it's has done so many merchandise throughout the years. My wife helped me. My wife helped me get me a TARDIS clock, basically, for our apartment, and that was very, very good. And you know, so and one of the best doctors is David Tennant. You can't go wrong with David Tennant as um, you know as one of your main doctors. And David Tennant is coming back as one of the 14th Doctor. He's coming back. I'm so excited that David Tennant is coming back for Doctor Who. I'm so excited. So David Tennant is coming back, and I'm very, very excited for the 60th anniversary and the 15th Doctor, known as Gawa or Shutigawa, basically. So he's a black doctor. So he's a black guy that's filling in for the 15th Doctor. And this special is going to have Donna Noble. It's going to have monsters. It's going to have the Toy Maker from the classic series. This is going to be one of the best specials that I ever watched in my entire life because of David Tennant is coming back, and I'm so excited that David Tennant is coming back. So yeah, I'm very, very excited that David Tennant is coming back as the Doctor once again. So yeah, the 60th anniversary is gonna be on sometime in November, but I don't know when in November. We'll get a later release date in probably in October or something like that. But yeah, it's probably gonna be at November 15th or November 13th. But those are my estimates. But yeah, take it with a grain of salt. Tiny grain of salt, not a big grain of salt. That would be bad for your system. Basically, for your immune system is not a big chunk of salt, but just a little bit of grain of salt. Not stuff. So, anyways, YouTubers. So those are my top. Yeah, so I have the action figures. I have the Tom Baker scarf. So yeah, Doctor Who is one of my favorite TV shows of all time, basically. So, yep. So, yep. And yeah. So, and if you haven't watched Jodie Whittaker's final episode, The Power of the Doctor, I highly recommend that you watch that episode because it has so many surprises in store and all that stuff of that episode. It has the Master, it has the Cybermen, and it has the Daleks, basically. So yeah, so Power of the Doctor, like one of the greatest episodes ever, according to Doctor Who, and all that stuff, and the BBC. So yeah, Doctor Who is one of my all-time favorite TV shows of all time. So, anyways, YouTubers, these are my top picks for 2023 and going forward. And I'll let you know if the list changes Um, so yeah. Oh, yeah. So, anyways, YouTubers, um, I'll uh, I'll do another top 10 list. So it's probably going to be one of the like the top video games of all time. So that's the next top 10 list that I'll be doing, that I'll be working on. And yeah, so anyways, YouTubers, sorry this list took so long to do. Um, my voice is getting kind of shot, so I better stop. I better stop this video in a little bit. But anyways, YouTubers, um, yeah. So, anyways, YouTubers, hope you have a fantastic night, and yeah. So and go watch some TV and all that stuff, and have a good night, YouTubers. So I'll be back someday, YouTubers.